Hello everyone. Happy Easter Monday. Hope that you had a nice holiday yesterday. We will start as we usually do, and Steve McCutcheon will do a prayer for us.
Thank you. Hello. Let's pray, and I'm going to base this on Psalm 69. God, Westminster has received a wound in her body. Both residents and staff feel vulnerable to the invisible enemy, this virus. Save us, O God, from the waters that have come up to our necks. Our fears in recent days have caused our spirits to sink deep in the mire where there is no foothold. The deep waters of doubt and the flood of uncertainty has swept over us. We're weary with our fears, and our faith is sometimes shaken. Our eyes grow dim, Lord, waiting for you to respond with a good word. Our prayers to defeat this virus are to you, Lord. At an acceptable time, O God, in the abundance of your steadfast love, answer our world. In response to the prayers of this world, rescue our world leaders from sinking in the mire. Let us be delivered from this virus, from the deep waters of our fears. Do not let the flood sweep over our leaders, or the deep swallow this world you love, or the pit close its mouth over the faith we proclaim. Answer us, O Lord, for your steadfast love is good. According to your abundant mercy, turn again to this world. Let the heaven and earth praise you, God, the seas and everything that move in them. For God, you will save the people of faith and rebuild the nations of this land, and those who love God's name shall rejoice in your healing love. For we make this prayer with confidence and trust in you, who demonstrated that you, not illness, not death, has the final word. And so we make this prayer in your name. Amen. Hello, folks. Good to see you. Oh, hey. Voice, how are you? Well, I'm a little concerned right now. You're concerned? What are you concerned about? Well, I mean, I'm a little concerned about what's happening to our residents. Oh, well, that's very sensitive to you, Voice. I mean, what's your concern? Well, I mean, I'm glad we have Lynn and Randy here to take care of us, but it's not easy to stay in your apartment all this time or stay in your house. Oh, wait. See that person? He's still in his PJs. Oh, and that woman hasn't got out of her nightgown either. You see, that's what I mean. They're just hunkering down, but they aren't getting dressed. Well, now, wait a minute, Voice. You know this is being filmed on Monday, and they're seeing it on Tuesday. How can you see them a day ahead? The Voice sees all. We know what's happening. Well, you know, I think we're going to be doing okay, but I'm glad you're watching people. Wait a minute. You see that? Hey, you, don't touch the remote. Lynn has still things to say, you know. Just sit there and have a cup of coffee and pay attention. And I give you Lynn.
Thank you, Voice. I'm glad you're here with us on our town hall meetings. Today we decided that we needed Randy as our Health Resource Center nurse to bring us some more information about how we can be better through this crisis.
Hi everybody, I have very good news, and as of today, the 13th, our number of COVID cases remains at 0. So big heart to all of you for doing such an amazing job. I get a little choked up here because it is sincerely because of your capacity to stretch and to distance socially, to stay in a situation which is very, very challenging, but you're all winning the battle. You're all doing such a beautiful job. We're going to keep this number at 0, and I check it every day. I have the capacity to look at a zip code number every day to see when the numbers increase, and we've remained steady for over a week now, and none of the cases are here. So we are very blessed, and we're very happy that you're doing such a great job. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all the help. I know we want to thank especially the people that have been out sewing beautifully these wonderful masks, and everybody's been so good about sharing. Continue to let us know when you have a need, whether you need a mask or not. I know that Lynn has graciously gone to the health department and been able to procure some paper masks, so we have some of those available. And we also have a document that we check every day. It's the cdc.gov website, but I go on every day to see if there's something new that we can be doing in terms of protecting ourselves. And the good news that I have to report is that every time I go onto this website and they give us an update, this one in particular is management of visitors, every box is checked in terms of what we're doing. They have a special entrance, they're being checked, everyone's been coached on signs and symptoms, etc., etc. So know that behind the scenes that we are all looking for any information we can get that comes new every day to help you, and we'll keep you abreast of any changes that occur. I do have some new visitor signs that we'll be posting, and they look like this. They're really not any different than anything we saw before, except they're specific to the symptoms. So they're just saying, do not enter the health facility if you have a cough, fever, or shortness of breath. We all know the signs of COVID-19, so this is just basically a reminder. This one will have a number for the health department. If people need that access, let's say it's a delivery person or someone who's coming in, at least if they don't have insurance, this will be a number to provide them so they have access to a question and answer scenario if they need it. So that you'll be seeing those around the campus. But in the meantime, we'll keep you posted, but keep up the good work. And remember, even behind those masks, there's smiles hiding, I know. Let that smile go up to your eyes and love your neighbor, and we're all in this together. Good job.
All right.
Thank you, Randy. Great. All right, I have some reminders to tell you and some other things, some other information to share. First of all, a reminder that we have canceled all group activities. You know that, and yet my concern is that I hear rumblings that residents are gathering in groups in their houses or their villas or their apartments. I want you to be very careful about that because we've canceled groups. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get together in a few of you together in someone's home or apartment, but remember the groups and remember that you probably don't have enough room in your homes to all be socially distant from each other at more than 6 feet. And also that when you're together, you should still be wearing masks. Don't have my mask on right now because I want you to see how I'm speaking to you, but I do have my mask with me. So please remember masks. Social distancing, the more I hear in the news, the more I read about, is the key to this. And you certainly are the ones that are helping us with the solution of this problem. That indeed, like Randy says, in zip code that she checks every day, 33705, where we live, there are no cases and no new cases that have come into the area. So that all goes to how you all are behaving and being very careful about the precautions and the restrictions that are out there. So keep in mind social distancing. You want to be part of the solution always, and you don't want to be part of the spread. So thank you for doing what you're doing. I want to remind you to pick up your mail in your cubby boxes. Your cubby boxes, if you haven't been there over the weekend, there's a treat there for you. So please make sure that you get to the cubby boxes and remove everything today, because tomorrow morning, well, Wednesday morning I should say, the new shorelines will be going into your cubby box. So you want to make sure that there's enough room there for that. So please remove all the other pieces of information and your goodies that are in your cubby box today. So reminder that if you leave the community, that you do come back in, you get your temperature checked and you fill out the form. Also a reminder to tell us and write down where you've been on your quick trip out. If indeed you've gone out for more than a quick trip to the grocery store or the pharmacy, and you've been out for a prolonged period of time, that means you are agreeing to quarantine yourself for 14 days. So we've been discouraging people from leaving the campus because we don't want people to be quarantined or have any more restrictions than they currently have. So please be mindful that there are services that will deliver things for you. But if you do leave for a prolonged period of time, we will need to know that, and you will have to agree to quarantine yourself for 14 days. So please be mindful of that. Most everyone's been complying with the precautions like we've talked about, and I thank you. Oh my goodness, I thank you so much for complying with all those. I still have a few people, residents, that I have had to talk to about if they don't comply, I will have to issue a letter of eviction. I really don't want to ever do that. It seems to me that more of the issue are family members who are so desperate to see their loved ones who live here that they just kind of disobey the restrictions that we have and the precautions that we've set apart. So please remind your family members, this is to keep them safe, and mostly it's to keep you safe and all your neighbors, our current fellow residents and staff safe. Please, please ask your visitors, your family members, that now is not the time to do any kind of visiting. Everything can be dropped off at the Bahama Place reception desk, and our tram drivers will deliver it, but they are not to bring it to your home or villa or meet you somewhere on campus or come after the reception hours are closed. Please be very mindful that we do have some eyes everywhere, and I'm receiving reports that this kind of thing is happening. Other information. Thank you for all the people, and there's residents and some staff that are making masks for us. We are trying to get enough masks for all the staff, all the residents in assisted living and independent living. So I know there's one of our residents has made over 100 masks herself. So grateful to all that hard work, and grateful to all the other mask makers that we have here at the Shores. Thank you for your efforts in keeping us all safe. What I'd like to know though is if you don't have a mask, I would ask that you call the reception desk or you call Randy, and we're gonna keep a list of all the residents so that we're making sure that everyone does receive a mask when we have enough to give out. So please let us know if you do not have a mask, and that most masks, like the one I usually wear, the one Steve has, the one that Ashley has on, they're washable. So please wash them and make sure they're clean for you to wear again. Jennifer, who works in our salon, has been texting me several times in the last few weeks. She just wants to say thank you for all the good wishes that residents are sending her way. And she thinks of you all, sends her love, and she misses you all. She can't wait to come back and be with all of you. And I know I would really appreciate Jennifer being back here. But as you'll see, my hair is gonna get longer and grayer as we go through this, but it's all okay, we're in this together. But she wanted you to know she thinks about you. Another reminder about Seawall walkers. I've seen more people on the Seawall than ever, and it's delightful. And I know that since we can't use the fitness room and we don't have the exercise classes, you're getting yourself out there and you're being active by walking. Remember, it's your home. If you see people that don't belong here, in the kindest way, remind them that we do have restrictions here, and we are only opening the Seawall to our residents and our staff, not to community members at this time. So please help yourself and just say, hello, I'm a resident of the Shores, and right now we have restrictions and we are not allowing anyone from outside the Shores to walk, but we'll welcome you back when the restrictions are lifted. So help yourself. We want to keep our residents safe, and that's another way of doing it. I want to thank you also for the continued funnies, the little jokes and things I get on my email or dropped on my desk. Also thank you for all the words of appreciation for our staff and what they're doing. I share the emails, I have cards and emails, and just people stopping by to say thank you for whatever dining's doing, or whatever the tram drivers are doing, or anybody on that campus. I do appreciate all of them, and I do know that you're grateful for them. So thank you, and keep those coming. Some of you were able to see the Happy Easter greeting that some of our staff made for you. It was placed on YouTube. If you can get on YouTube and look up Westminster Shores Happy Easter 2020, because I believe it was on channel 732 over the weekend, and we had some wonderful hopping Easter bunnies and great singers that wanted to make sure that you would get an extra smile on your Easter holiday. So I thank the staff for having the spirit to do that kind of thing together. We were all socially distant in the gallery, and we were singing from opposite ends of the gallery, but yet it was an awful lot of fun. So I hope you got to see that. I wanted to update you on cases of the virus, the COVID-19 virus. I mentioned before that there was one case at Winter Park, which is outside Orlando. That person had been on a cruise, and they're in the hospital with no signs of COVID, and they did not have to get on a ventilator. So they're doing really well, and they're waiting for their second negative test. Westminster requires 2 negative COVID tests before they can enter back into the community. So they've had 1 negative, and they're waiting for their second negative, and that's great news. Westminster Point Pleasant over in Bradenton had the one case that I mentioned to you several times in the past, that the person, the independent living resident, these are both independent living residents, were, it was a case that the person was in the hospital in the emergency room and contracted the virus and then had to be placed on a ventilator. That person is off the ventilator and is doing very well. Also is going through those 2 negative COVID testing so that they can be released. We've had an additional case at Westminster Point Pleasant in their nursing home. And that was a difficult case because the person came back to the nursing home with a test from the local hospital that was negative. Once the resident was back at the nursing home in Point Pleasant, they received a call from the hospital saying that the test wasn't correct and that indeed the person was COVID positive. So that person was immediately sent back to the hospital and is waiting for real 2 negative COVID tests to come back to the nursing home. So that was really an error on the hospital's part, but we did the right thing by sending the person right back out to the hospital. Across all of the other Westminster communities, there are no cases. All of our 12 rental retirement communities, of which the closest one is Jefferson Center in Sarasota, there are no cases of COVID-19. And again, it's thanks to everybody who's keeping all those precautions in place. You noticed, I'm sure, by now that you've received your meals in recyclable containers. Some of those containers we're finding that have broken. We have about 100 boxes already that have broken. If you find one, please let dining know. We are working with the manufacturer to get replacements on those, and we're really not sure why this is happening. But please watch your food too, in case it would break and drop into your food. MyW is starting some new virtual fitness programs. The cry for exercise and being active is heard throughout Westminster, and many of the communities are sending in programs that they will then be putting on MyW Life, and they're going to be working so that they can get on channel 732 as well. So be watching for those. Another piece that we have decided here at Westminster Shores is that if you have an issue that you're going to press your SARA button for, that will go to the security and to the AL assisted living nurse during the evening and overnight. The nurse will then respond with a call to you to see if it truly is an emergency. If that's true, then we're going to get 911 coming to you. The reason we're doing this is we do not want our nursing staff to cross over into independent living and be sharing germs or whatever back and forth, because that's how a virus would spread. Not that any of our nurses have this, but, or our assisted living residents or our independent living residents, but you just never know when a touch is going to happen. So we're trying to be very careful. So indeed, if you have an emergency, you call. The nurse will respond, is it a true emergency? Should we call 911? And if not, if it's not a true emergency and you just need someone to go over your symptoms with, they suggest that you then call Randy in the morning. So we just want to let you know that we're trying really hard not to cross-contaminate across our own community here. We've had some questions. One was in regards to the food and to add some savory or some sauces on the side if that's possible. I did review the question with our executive chef and our sous chef, as well as our dining director Kevin and our assistant Eric, so that they would all know that people are asking for more savory or adding some spices or seasonings or some sauces. So they're doing the best they can. Mostly what I've heard is people are very satisfied with the food that they're receiving. But I did share that suggestion that came along as a question. These questions from the box. The other question that I received, or comments that I received, were we are passing out milk on some days, but we're also passing out bottled water. Some of our residents really are concerned about the bottled water. We really would choose not to do that, but this is a different time and a different day. And for right now, this is the best way that we can figure out how to get water, fresh water to our residents. We're coming up on a summer and we really need to hydrate so that people do not get dehydrated in our community. So yes, as soon as this is over, we will not be using bottled water, and I do understand your concern with it. But like I said, this is a different time and a different day, and this is the best way we can do it. Likewise, with some of those boxes breaking, we may be sending some meals out in styrofoam. We don't want styrofoam. You all have worked too hard to get styrofoam out of this community. But again, it's a different day, and if that's the only way we can get meals out to you, then we will have to do that for a short period of time. And we thank you for your understanding. On one of my recent conference calls this afternoon, Robert Brown, who is our Vice President of Information Technology, he's been with Westminster Communities 31 years. And he's also said on the conference call that he's been through some crises with Westminster Communities throughout his 31 years. And that he's very impressed that we have been able to keep our COVID cases so low, and that everyone seems to be working really hard and diligently to keep all the residents safe. So that's an impression from all across Westminster. And I wanted to end with, I know this has been a very unusual Easter and Passover season for you. It's been unusual for every one of us. I know some of the residents really wanted to leave and be with families, and we thank you so much for not doing that. It was very different to be at home for myself and not with family. It was different not being able to go to a sunrise service, or to go to an egg hunt with little children, or to have a Passover Seder meal. It's just been very different, and we thank you for your cooperation in that. And I think it's going to be an Easter and Passover season that we will all remember and talk about for many years to come. But thank you for not leaving the campus. We appreciate your cooperation. And Steve and the voice, is there anything else you have to say?
There is one thing. You know, if I had the power, and of course I probably do, if I had the power to give you one of two wishes, which one would you choose? The first wish is that you had absolute power and you could make everybody do everything you want. The second wish is that everyone you come near to, 6 foot apart of course, would feel loved, cared for, and worthwhile. It's probably your choice. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you all.